And the dreams that you dream of once in a lullaby. Oh, somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly, and the dreams that you dream of, dreams really do come true. Ooh, someday you wish upon a star, wake up where the clouds are far behind. Be where trouble melts like lemon drops, high above the chimney top. That's where you find me, oh, somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly, and the dream that you did to, oh why can't oh, someday I wish upon a star, wake up where the clouds are far behind. Be where trouble melts like a lemon drops, high above the chimney top. That's where you find me, oh, somewhere over the rainbow, way up high. The dream that you dare to, why, oh why can't
Hello. Hi, how the devil are you? Okay, so aren't we all happy and jolly that these politicians have suddenly found some truth in the back of their pockets? It's so weird. I'm often told that I don't really understand, and this is politics, and this is how it goes, and compromises have to be made, and isn't this what a great thing? This is such a different situation, and I'm going to tell you why. So when people start telling you it's so great, look what all these amazing people have done, we can now say that is an actual man. Aren't we so amazing? I'll tell you what this is like, this whole situation. This is what it's like. This is like someone coming into your bedroom and stealing all of your makeup. Now, if you don't wear makeup, just come with me on this. Stealing all of your makeup, right? And then after stealing all of your makeup, goes to take your hairdryer and your towels and your bed linen. And then you have a wrestle and you argue and you debate and you whine and you moan and you ask important people to come in and give your stuff back, and they give you all your bed linen back and they've kept everything else. And you're supposed to be okay with that because they've compromised on all the things they've stolen. They've given you some of those things back. And that's what this is like. And this is what happens when politicians get involved who really have no conviction whatsoever. And frankly, I include all of them. Because there's not a single one of them who has actually said the words, let's get rid of the GRA, either because they don't want to, or because they think it's too risky for their career. And quite frankly, I'm a little bit fed up, like pig sick, of people who are worried about their own careers above everything else. And maybe I'm in a very, very fortuitous position. Maybe I am. But I know that many people aren't and have still stood up for their principles. And look, it's not come without risk. It's not come without, great risk. Many of them I can't even share with you publicly. So I'm a little bit fed up with people calling politicians who are paid to represent the people saying mealy-mouthed, tiny little hints of something, and then getting high praise for it. And I know that's how it's going to go. And I'm telling you now, the end of this for all of us, when this stops being talked about, there will still be men dressing as women coming into your changing rooms, but it's no big deal. You know, like it was 5 years ago. And then it got worse and worse and worse until people couldn't ignore it. And it won't go back to how it was before. It'll go back to how it was 5 or 6 years ago, maybe when you were first peaked. But it's no big deal. It's only 1 or 2. Look, you know, there's just a couple of trans kids in the school. We call them trans kids. There's only a couple of children being experimented on. That's where it's going to go back. And that's because that's when apathy kicks in. That's how it happened in the first place. And that's where it will go back to. It won't go back to a point where there are no penises in female-only changing rooms. Kemi Badenoch today was interviewed on World at One, and the BBC, quite frankly, is culpable, is absolutely guilty. Our state, look, you asked me 7 years ago, do I think the state broadcaster, did I agree with some people, culture ministers or whatever for the Conservatives, did I agree with them that the BBC should be blah, 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 should be separated from the state? I would have said, oh my God, no, I'm so proud of the BBC. It's so amazing. I'm so proud of the BBC. And I definitely could not say that now. I couldn't say those things at all. I could say that I think the BBC has been absolutely complicit in the grooming of our children and stupid people in this country. 100%. They have promoted it. They even today, like even in light of the Cass review, which, as you well know, I'm a big critic of the Cass review, but I'm still delighted that it's out there. Even in the wake of the Cass review, the BBC are basically saying, is it really an issue if some girls don't go to the toilet? Like, how many is it? How many girls is too many, BBC? Not that there are boys in girls' changing rooms or that girls no longer have privacy and dignity when they use the bathroom, the toilet at school. No, no, no. Is it really an issue? How many have you heard about? You know, you've got a woman who is heading up the, who's the Minister for Women and Equalities, who is asking, can you provide the evidence for the lack of governance and the lack of government guidance that we've issued across all of the sectors funded by you, the taxpayer? Can you provide the evidence? Not, can we provide the guidance? Because that's what she should be saying. We will now provide the guidance. We will now tell everybody what the law is. We will now say that if you want a women-only knitting group, just because you fancy only talking to women, you can keep men out, all men, irrespective of what bullshit government certificate we've given them. So this is what's happening now. I think the Conservative government is shoring themselves up to be a thorny opposition on this one issue, or particularly this issue. I think the Labour government are going to go in saying they weren't in government when all the changes were made and how could they possibly control anything. I think loads of people somewhere in the middle who just think, oh, it's too much of a headache, I don't really know what to say. I think they're just going to move on. I think they will be satisfied. You know, Kemi Badenoch said today, you know, there's a lot of people that don't understand the difference between gender identity and biological sex. And I think that if she's serious, she needs to stop using that language. She needs to just say sex. And nothing else is at all important or relevant. Nothing. The way somebody subjectively feels about themselves is not any business of the state. It's just not. Which means that when it comes to schools and when it comes to police and when it comes to doctors and NHS, that it's nothing to do with the state. And I think what we should have learned over the last couple of decades is that the House of Parliament is full of liars. I mean, maybe you knew that before. Maybe I knew that before. Maybe we all knew it because the likes of Widdicombe or Ben were seen as conviction politicians, as if they were unusual, as if they were a separate type of politician to careerist, globalist, self-absorbed, self-interested politicians. So I just think that the fight becomes more difficult because, like the fight when I first joined, the enemy is not so overt and obvious. The enemy is not, even though it's still happening, it's not going to happen, right? It's not going to happen as much, and it's not going to make the news because no one's going to give a shit at all. So it's not going to make the news. So if there's a man put in a women's prison, let's say that man is in for theft and shoplifting, and he calls himself a woman, he's going to be put in a women's prison. Maybe not a sex offender, but a man nonetheless is going to be put into women's prisons. It will happen. He'll have a GRC, and he'll still make women feel uncomfortable, and they'll still be punished, but you won't hear about it because nobody will care, because we've won. We'll be in post-nuttery, penis-centering nuts, wokeland. There will be girls that still avoid using the toilets at school because there are boys in them, because schools will still have unisex facilities. There will be. Nobody will care because we solved the issue. We solved it. We've got some really rather respectable people set up to protect women and girls in schools and so on. And we solved it. And we've got a government making all the right noises. So it's not an issue. It will become a political, ethereal chat. And most people will just think that it's won. So that's why I say to you that what you get at the end of a big struggle like this, usually there's two sides wanting something. In this case, we've had everything stolen from us, and we'll only get some of those things back. That will be the compromise. That will be called a compromise. So, Keir Starmer saying, well, yes, of course women don't have a cervix. Do you know what that makes him? Big fat liar, untrustworthy man. And I talked to Julia Hartley-Brewer today. I don't know if you saw it, but there was this thing where, both of us agreed that, and I've been saying it for a long time, that what happens is that these politicians are either stupid or liars or both. I happen to think both. Not sure about you, but years and years ago, I thought I could never be a politician. I don't have the right life experience. I'm not clever enough. My education isn't great enough. Now I think I'm too good. I'm honestly, like, in comparison to most of the people, I'm honestly too good. And this idea of politicking means that compromise, which is why single issue politics is becoming popular. Because the only way to get somebody who will absolutely stand their ground and continue to ask and demand for the things that they said right at the beginning, are the people that don't have to compromise their single goal with their other goals. So, whilst we're here, let me just also say, not one single politician has ever said that they don't think transition is a good idea for anyone and the state shouldn't pay for it. None of them. Which is why there are still planned like up to 250 phalloplasties butchering young women every year in an NHS hospital. Now, whether or not that becomes private, and that is another kind of nasty little way of the NHS finally just giving up completely, pretending to be the NHS, whether it's that or whether it's something else. But nobody really is turning away from this. They're just telling you they are. And some people are foolish enough to believe them. I'm just not one of them. So I don't even know when the fight is seen by so many, when apathy comes, which will kill it all. I think that in 10 years' time, we will look back and we will be very, very disappointed with what we accepted as a victory and a win. And I'm not saying we're there yet, because I don't think we are, because I've yet to see proof of some of the things that have been uttered by politicians. I've yet to see let's wait for June, people, and see if the whole of the NHS lights up with rainbows. Let's just see if that happens. Let's see if government buildings have pride flags on them. I mean, then you'll know, right? Then you'll have some idea whether or not this government is remotely serious. I mean, the last flag you're allowed to see on any building right now is the George Cross or the Union flag, because you can see a Saltaire or whatever it's called in Scotland, and you can see the Welsh flag. You can see those flags. They're fine. They're perfectly fine. They're not racist or bigoted. And you can see pride flags. You can also see Ukraine and Palestine flags. You're allowed to see those flags, just not any others. So it will be interesting to see. And I just think you need to be really mindful that what you're being asked to do right now, is you're being asked to see a victory and accept a compromise. So it's a different sort of gaslighting, but it is gaslighting nonetheless. You're being told that you've been listened to, and at the same time, somebody is gonna serve you something you didn't really ask for and you wouldn't have accepted. And actually, what you're going to be served is something that was what was happening, say, 6 years ago. So when some of us were peaked, we're going to be taken back to that specific point. That's how this is all going to work. Anyway, for some reason my phone won't stop ringing, so it must be urgent. If you can just keep your eye on the prize and not accept whatever consolation prize is being offered to you, then I promise we will win. If you can keep so focused on holding people to account, then I promise we will win. And do you know why else we're going to win? Because I never